I need to.
We're recording.
Hello, everybody.
You guys, before we were recording, Anthony put chocolate in his teeth and looked like a hillbilly, and he's like, "Do I look handsome or whatever?" So he's like, "Wait a minute, that's still in my teeth." But we were already.
That's not the look live for this podcast. So anyway,
fun.
so if you come to YouTube, you can actually see Anthony and see that he doesn't look like the troll he was trying to expose himself as.
Exactly
welcome
right.
to Post Change and Action Podcast. I'm your host, Simone Milasas, and today I have Anthony and Julia Mattis. So welcome.
Thanks,
Yay.
Simone.
Thank you.
Happy to be here.
Yay.
Love the
And
topic.
we have yeah. Let's see where we go. Okay. So the topic, I mean, I don't know what we're going to call this podcast yet, but what I asked is if they would come on and they would talk about this. And this is the intimate play for lovers. We created so let me give you a little bit of history. Okay. This is an interesting thing for me to talk about and get out there as well, which is, and thank you guys for being here. Let's see how vulnerable we get. I have this amazing, beautiful lover. I've had him for a few years. I don't call it a relationship because there's so many aspects of it that are so different, and that's not what I'm here to talk about, of going into that. Yet one day we picked up these cards at a shop, these sex play cards that you could play. And we thought, let's have some fun and play these cards. And so we went to play these cards. We made a cocktail, etc. We went to pick these cards. And I think like one of the first cards was like, give your lover a blowjob. We both looked at each other and went, all right, well, he's like, I'm not even hard, like the mood wasn't there right away, right? And so we started, as we did, we started talking about this and looking at this of like, well, what would be seductive? What would create that foreplay? So I'm very proud of what we came up with. And this is why we came up with this. On this intimate play for lovers, we have something called soft play, right? And you can play this game any way you desire. And I've got a lot of feedback of how people have played it. I love that I hear about people's sex lives all the time now. So we have soft play. And soft play, the whole idea was designed to create that where you do have a hard on, right? So you are getting turned on. You can have this play. Like the first one that I picked out here is gently kiss your lover on the lips with no tongue, but it's for 60 seconds, right? So even that, it's like just gently kissing your lover on the lips for 60 seconds with no tongue. Like what I find a lot over the years, like with sex, whether it's with me or somebody else or friends, etc., talking to, even though you might have this energy of play and exploration, there's still this thing of like, okay, this is what we do. Like this is like, if you're going to kiss, it's like, then there's tongue, then there's this, then there's all this sort of stuff, right? So we wanted it to be, how do we create a different play, one that is, I guess, not about controlling, okay? So then you play the soft play. We try and play like 3 cards each, right? At least.
That's what we do.
And then we go to the hard play. Sometimes it's like, let's just go to the hard play. But even part of the fun for me is no. Let's draw a card. Let's make another drink. Let's have a little moment, And so then the hard play, obviously, when you're getting more turned on, and I mean, there's even one in here that says, let's stop playing or something, let's fuck. Okay. So it's like, let's get down to it. I mean, the first one I just, there's lay your lover down naked, blindfold them, touch, lick, kiss them without them touching you for 3 minutes, right? So there's all these different things that we did. So that's what I just want to talk about one more thing, because as I created these, like we literally created it on an Excel spreadsheet, as one does. And we kept writing it down and adding to it. And then we would have these numbers and we would write these numbers out and put it in a big salad bowl. And so then we would pull the numbers out and go like, okay, I got a 3. And then we'd look at the Excel spreadsheet and look at what number 3 was. And that's how we started playing. And then
so you tossed to get to these.
Toss the salad. Yes, we toss. Can anyone ever explain to me why analingus is called toss the salad?
Well, it also incorporates the testicles too. So you're tossing the whole salad. It's the anus and the
Okay, no,
testicles. It's the whole thing.
okay, I'll
It's
take
like
that. I'll take that. Okay, I'll
yeah.
take that. But it's like who came up with toss the salad? Come on.
I think
So
prisoners. I think prisoners.
prisoners tossing the
Yeah,
salad. Oh, okay. No,
exactly.
thank you. That
Male
actually feels
prisoners.
correct. Okay,
Yeah.
male
It
prisoners, obviously.
it actually originated on an HBO documentary called Prisoners of the War on Drugs, produced in 1996.
Oh, I love that
Yes.
you just Googled that. Okay. We need to tell Chris Hughes that because Chris is also a friend of ours who's gay. We've had discussions about how did toss the salad become about. But anyway,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
so we made this deck of cards, and I remember I actually sent the Excel spreadsheet to a few friends to say, hey, can you look through this? Because we created it for what worked for us. And it was like, what would you add? You know, so we did incorporate some of our friends' feedback, etc. I remember sending it to one friend, and he was on a plane, and he opened up the Excel spreadsheet, and he was like, "Oh Jesus!" He goes, "I'm getting so turned on just reading this." And I was like, "Good, that's what's supposed to happen," you know.
Yeah.
So then we thought, let's put these into cards. Let's see how we go, right? So as you're creating a business and all these systems are in play, and I'm like, boom, 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 you know, this is happening. Then it gets to this moment we're about to launch, and I woke up one day and I was like, shit, what am I doing? You know, because most people know me as the author of Joy of Business, as facilitator of Access Consciousness, the author of Getting Out of Debt Joyfully, like all of this. And they have a perception of what they think I am. And I woke up one day and I rang Gary Douglas, who's the founder of Access, and I went, hey, can you help me? And I said, do you get that this is okay to launch this? And he said, yeah. He said, I think they're really great. And I said, so why do I have this like sickness in my stomach? And he said, because you are about to open another door. And I went, oh. And that moment I went, wow, how many other doors am I not opening by not choosing something because it doesn't match the energy of what somebody else perceives of me? So for me, even just getting these cards out there really changed my life. And so that's my side of the story. Now I asked you guys, because you guys were so cute. When you brought these cards, both of you would leave me messages and tell me like different things that had gone on for you. So what is the first thing when you brought these cards? What was it like playing for you?
Oh my gosh. Well, you go.
Yeah, no, I don't. It was a lot of
Fun.
fun because you know, we've been together for what, almost 10 years now.
Yeah, we've been together for 10 years, which is really crazy.
Like
and
shagging wise, we started copulating about 10 years ago, you know, and then we got married like a year.
We got married 10 months afterwards.
But you know, for humanoids, that's like 100,000 years. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, it's you get bored and things kind of get flat. And I'm also 22 and a half years older than Julia, and so I'm like Paolo in some respects. I'm like, if it's not hard, I don't want to have sex because I feel like, you know, I was always driven by my hormones, you know, and I'm much older, and so I don't really have that like I used to, you know. So what this actually created for me was it started to get me going in ways that I've never really allowed myself to receive and be. So when I wasn't in the mood, she's like, let's just lead to anything. Let's just go ahead and we'll do the soft play and let's just see what happens. And it was really cool. And we got into it and it created this sense of intimacy with one another. And then we finally went into the hard play. And it was funny because we did get one of those cards. It was like, now it's time to fuck. And it's like, I just totally heard Simone's voice in my head. Literally. It's weird. Like, and then I'm like, should I get my phone? Should we take a picture? Should we show her us doing it? Like, you know, and it was like so weird because I felt like you were in the room. And I'm like, wait a minute. Am I supposed to be thinking about Simone while we're doing this? It's like, wait a minute.
I've never heard you say that.
Yeah. It was fun. It was, it's just been a lot of fun. And it just adds a different element to the bedroom, which is cool.
Yeah. And one of the things you just mentioned, which I think is really key, and I've had a lot of people talk about this, including myself and Paolo, is receiving. Because you do receive in a different way. And, you know, it has definitely increased my receiving in so many different ways. And I know it's increased other people's receiving. And that alone, it's like, what if you even just kept playing the soft play? You don't need to go to the hard play. I want to really reiterate, we have these like 3 cards here that are like, these are our guidelines because we thought, why not? But make it yours, make it yours. Like however you want to play it. This is your play. Okay.
Sometimes Anthony does them funny. Like there was one, like it was like put food on your body and like lick it off or something. So Anthony went to the kitchen and we had blackberries and he like put blackberries in his eyeballs and like blackberries in his mouth and it just looked so ridiculous.
But did you laugh?
Take a picture and send it to Simone. Just like,
oh, you need to say, send me the
so
pictures.
Much fun.
I want to, and that's like, I've never laughed so much with it too. So Julia, tell me about you. What was it like for you? And talk about anything. I mean, if you guys are up for it, talk about anything.
Yeah. I mean, it was just so fun. It was like, I like that a part of it is the amount of minutes. So it'll be like, well, this one I'm pulling up is Eat Your Lover's Ass for 2 minutes. So that might be a little bit, sorry, I just had to say it. I have, but it's like, they're so fun. And like, but like kissing or gently kiss your lover on the lips with no tongue for 60 seconds. And it was like really, really sweet because it was like this energy of like, sometimes I don't like, there's like pressure or you don't like, there's a give and take in bed. And it's like, I really loved the cards because it was like, you have this sort of sense of like, okay, it's my turn to receive. It's his turn to receive. And it kind of created this play that was like really sweet and fun. And it like took off all the significance. And then it's like, okay, that 60 seconds is over. Now let's do like this for 2 minutes. And it's like, it's just really, I don't know. And then it was like, there's certain things on the cards that like, you might like, but like, you wouldn't necessarily ask. Like, I wouldn't be like, hey, Anthony, can you, kiss my toe? Or I don't know. Like there were just cute things on the cards. And it was like, it was really like, sweet. And I was like, oh, I really like that. And then that kind of opened up a conversation for me to be like, hey, I really like that. Like, could we do more of that? And it just created a lot of space. And then I learned things about Anthony that I didn't know from the cards. It's just like, it's a really big facilitation and invitation. I don't know. I don't remember what it was, but it was just like really cool. Like just, I don't know. It just opened up like a new reality for us in a sense because it just showed me different things and gave us both different choices. And that was really, really super cool.
Yeah, there's another couple in Access that have been together for a long time as well. And if I look at them, I would just think just the way they'd be, it's like they have a pretty active, exploratory sex life. And they were saying to me that there's conversations that they've never had. And when they played these cards, they were like, oh, do you actually like that? Or, yeah, I do. Or I like this, or I prefer this, etc. And I think that's so healthy to be able to have those conversations. And even look at the cards. Like, is there one that pops that you go, that you resist? It's like I was talking to someone one day, and again, it's like, I know that they've had plenty of lovers, etc., all of that. Plenty of lovers doesn't mean you're great at sex or enjoy it either, by the way. It's that just plenty of lovers just means plenty of lovers. And there was, she was saying to me, there's some of the cards that are quite confronting. And I said, like what? Give me an example. And she said, well, one of them is watching your lover have a shower, right? And I said, what's confronting about it? And she said, well, I'm willing to shower with them. She said, but having someone watch me, and she was having judgments about her body. And I said, can I tell you, if you're showering and your lover is watching you shower, they're not going, her tummy's a little big, or her ass is too big, or something like that. They're just going, damn, I'm getting to watch you shower naked. What's next? But it was interesting for her to have a look at that and break that down. And because where are we not allowing ourselves to have that beautiful, amazing freedom to perceive like all of our senses and receive beyond control and beyond our judgments? And for me, that's what these cards are about.
Yeah, totally. For me, it was the eating your ass part, because I think Julia draw that card on me. and it was her turn to eat my ass. And I'm thinking to myself, I have a grade 1 hemorrhoid. I'm not sure if I've trimmed enough down there. And I really want to, should we get the saran wrap? Maybe you should put the saran wrap over that area. I don't know. That was the one thing that was hard for me to receive.
Yeah.
Julia's willing to try
I'm willing to
more
try.
things than I am, that's for sure.
But even that you
was,
acknowledge, like that, now you're like, okay, so she's willing to try more things. But see that, okay, so anal play. It's like, how many people would like anal play but don't mention it or don't talk about it, especially if you're a straight couple, right? And it's like, for me, it's like talking about anal play, doing anal play. It's a little bit of like, sometimes you're like, my digestive system is not that great right now. So it's like, I wouldn't go down there. It's like, why can't we have these conversations? Why can't that just be, and you're like, okay, cool, let's play somewhere else. Or you're like, hey, it's looking good today. Like, whatever. It's like, they're our bodies. And can I just say, shit happens. Like, if you're going to play, you're going to have sex, stuff happens, right? Stuff shows up. So
that's
what
right.
if you could be okay with that and not judge it?
I've gone on this, Gary Douglas, the founder of Access, he's given me some home play exercises. And one of them was to receive more anal play to change my money flows. And that wasn't something that I really, I maybe explored that like once or twice. Right. And then there was something that came up and I was like, okay, never again. And then I meet Gary and then I'm like, and Julie's like, okay, I'll help you explore that and blah, blah, blah. But but what I decided to do is I started to interview all my gay male friends because I just wanted to like have an idea of like, what do you guys do it spontaneously, like anally, right? And I've had like, I never really got anything sort of concrete because everyone have different points of view. And I was really surprised. I'm like, how do you guys have like spontaneous sex after you've had like a huge steak or jumbo raviolis with lots of cheese and you're bloated and you just have to fart? It's like, but then you're so hot and heavy for this guy that you want to be with. And it's like, no way, like there's no way anything can go inside of me if I'm having to fart like every 10 seconds, you know what I mean? So some guys are like, absolutely not. I have to fast. There's no way. And then other guys are like, yeah, I don't care. It doesn't matter. And I'm like, so I really couldn't get what I was looking for. I don't think, but I'm like, well, I guess if I was gay, I would have to like plan my eating schedule for sure,
Well, it depends. So, I mean, I've had many conversations with Chris and some of his friends. The other night I was at a dinner party at his house. So it's me and all the gay boys. And I brought up the conversation of anal play because I was like, hey, what hints can you give me that would help, sort of thing? And so I'll tell you some practical things that I heard the other night. And one of them too that you got to get is, are they a top or a bottom? Because Chris was always like, you can always tell the one who's the bottom because they're the one just having a glass of champagne at dinner. And the top is the one with the big steak and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. He's got to have some energy, feed the beast,
Wow, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
so if you have a look at, so there's that. But also I was like, because that's one thing I was talking about is with anal play, it's like you don't just, from my experience, you don't just sort of want to go in there and be like, right, I'm coming in hot, It's like,
it's a process.
Yeah, exactly. It is a process. And that's what I was asking about. And so actually they gave me one tool, which I'm going to tell you, is if you're coming from behind, and I haven't done this yet. It was just the other night, coming in from behind, and it's like so you're bent over. It's like inserting the thumb. Also, big thing. Make sure that your fingernails are really short and not just freshly cut short, like the day before short. Inserting your thumb into the anus from behind, because then you get the prostate at the front, right? And then you can do reach around like hand job, right? So yeah, so then Anthony's literally just leaning over the bed or leaning over something like that, just totally relaxed in a position that you're behind him, thumb up the anus, making sure you get the prostate, and then a hand job. Okay, I'm giving you more home play. But here's the thing. I was looking at, because I went, sometimes it's like easy and sometimes it's not, okay? And they were like, yeah, but, and they were so honest, and they went, look, some of the gay guys are like gaping holes. That's literally their words, okay?
Really?
so
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
we're so
Wow.
used to it, and it's like, so it's sort of, because I think a lot of straight people go to, because I do like anal play, but I don't like it all the time. It's like, it's not something that's a always,
Yeah.
or there's variations of how you do anal play, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and it's like, I mean, tongue, toys,
Yeah.
fingers, whatever. There's a whole lot of things.
Yeah.
And there was something about the conversation I had with them that I sort of went, oh, okay, I'm not fucked up around anal play. Like, these guys are experts at this, you
Yeah.
know?
Totally.
Well,
And they know when and when not to. And there is, I mean, I know there's some friends of mine I know that have literally had to take a break from sex for a longer period of time because their anus needed a rest, you know? And,
right.
you know, I know if you have lots of vaginal sex over and over and over again, sometimes you're like, no more. It's
Right.
like, you know, it can get a bit like, okay, we need to do something else, or just take a break, like, you know, something.
Yeah.
So it's like, I guess it's every part of the body too. And for me, it's like, as we've said, it's about receiving, but it's about, one of my favorite things that Chris Hughes ever said, someone said to him, what is your favorite toy? And he said, communication.
Mm.
I'm like, fucking brilliant, because you
Mhm.
need to be able to have these conversations. And for me, I think these cards open that up for you to have those
Totally.
conversations.
You do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And there's no pressure, which is really cool. And it's like, and if you're not in the mood, it's just nice to actually just browse through them too and see what that actually creates with no expectations. And, you know, it
Yeah.
always led to something. And, you know, there were moments where like, okay, now it's time to fuck. And then I think I remember saying, well, you know, we don't have to do it exactly cookie cutter. I'm like, why don't we keep pulling more cards and,
Yeah, it just wasn't time yet.
yeah,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And it was just really cool, but it's just fun. It's playful, and it's not in a weird way, but it's like cool to like know that there's people out in the world that are kind of weirdos like us. So it was kind of fun having you there. You know what I mean? Because we would bring up your name like a lot. It's really cool. And it actually does contribute energetically, because it's
You
like,
really are an energetic contribution, Simone.
yeah.
It's so funny. Thank
Luckily,
you. I
in the middle
thank
of
you.
it. I wasn't like, oh, Simone, you know. So I didn't do that. Thank God. But anyway,
You did
Julia,
so
Simone.
I was like, oh, Julia, that's so good. Thank you. No, just,
But you know what? Maybe I'm the only name that you could say that she'd be like, that's fine. I get it. I was thinking about
yeah,
her too.
Totally. It's like, you know, it's just total oneness.
That's what we'll call it now. I love it. But I
Oh my
mean,
God.
what if we didn't function from the judgments? And can I also say, there's people out there who, I think the three of us fall into that category, who actually enjoy sex and enjoy the exploration. And if you don't, that's okay. It's not wrong if you're not having sex. It's not wrong if you don't enjoy sex. It's like, not everybody actually decides to play like that. Maybe masturbation is what you enjoy, or maybe not at all. Maybe you used to, maybe you don't. Maybe it's something you explore in the future. It's like, for me, like, one of the things that Dane said once, which I went, God, that's so true. You know, if you're in the car and you're in traffic or something like that, and you're like really annoyed because there's so much traffic, and you're like, and bitching and moaning, versus if you're in the car and you're in traffic, but you just had great sex, you're like, yeah, there's traffic. You know, for me, it has such a calming energy to
Totally.
play with our bodies in that way. Like, it makes my life better and greater on every other area, you know?
That's what Anthony, like, if somebody will come really angry or something, he'll be like, she just doesn't have enough sex. Like, that's what this comes down to.
yeah. You just see a lot of sexually frustrated people out in the world, and goodness gracious, I'm like, you know, that person just really needs to get laid. You know,
Yeah.
they really do. I think it would solve so much craziness in the world. You know,
Yeah.
it would really undo a lot. But you know, there's so many points of view, there's so many twisted things about it, and the rights and the wrongs and the goods and the bads of it. If it was something that was sort of like openly discussed and not so taboo, I think it could be, and it should be, and it is, and that's what we're exploring here, a contribution, something that makes all of our lives greater, not this contractive energy that you see out there.
And if you want to really invite an element of chaos at Christmas time, you can buy these for your family. Which
Oh
my
goodness
God,
gracious.
Simone, it was phenomenal.
You got to hear this.
So I gave them to 2 sets of family members, and my brother-in-law was looking through the cards at Christmas, and he's like, the whole room went quiet when I gave them to everybody. Everybody just went totally quiet. Everybody's faces kind of went white. And my brother-in-law looks through the cards, and he's like, your sister and I don't do any of these things, Julia.
But what did you should have said, but would you like to?
I should have. And then another family member who I won't name names was like, And he was using access speak kind of. He's like, are these cards designed to make me feel vulnerable? So cute.
Maybe.
It was adorable. But it would just, it totally changed the energy and was just so fun to like introduce that different element and put question into everybody's worlds. It was awesome.
That's awesome. I love that you did that. Yeah, I love that you did that. And my one of my assistants, she's got young kids, and she was saying to me, Simone, this is brilliant, because she knows that her son has been sexually active. I'm not so sure about her daughter, but maybe close. But she's like, but I mean, it sounds so old when you go, the young kids today, but she's like, the young kids, I mean, I remember the first time I ever had sex. I was 16, and I remember it was with my neighbor, who was very lovely. You know, we were friends forever. But I remember in my head going, I'm having sex, I'm having sex, I'm having sex. It was almost like just ticking this box off. Like, okay, phew, that's done. I'm not a virgin anymore, you know? And she's like, this is brilliant. Like, what if kids could learn to actually explore and, as we've mentioned a few times now, have these conversations? I mean, you know, there was this great, I can't remember the movie, but there was this great conversation between 2 friends who ended up having sex. And I can speak for this female version of, she's talking to him, and they weren't together, right? But they had sex, and I've got to remember this. And she was like, okay, let's be truthful. Let's be honest. What actually happened, you know? And he was going down on her, and she was like moaning and becoming close to orgasm. And she's like talking about, you know, how great that this was. And so what did he do? He sped up, changed the speed, and started to go really fast. And it's like, that is one of the worst things that you can do to a woman when she's about to have an orgasm. It's like, it's about like keeping the momentum. Like, so many men, and I guess young boys too, think, because when they're, you know, masturbating, it's like, go fast, yes, and ejaculate. And for a woman, it's almost like oh no, just, I mean, every now and then different, but it's like, no, just keep that pace. And it's just like, then it becomes this like, holy shit, this orgasm, you know. And she goes, what did you do? And he goes, well, I sped up so you'd have a good time. And she's like, exactly, you didn't listen to me. Like, you weren't listening to what was going on, right? And I can't remember what it was. It's an old movie, but they spoke about 6 different things, both things, male and female. And for me, it's like, can we please start having these conversations? Like, I think one thing a woman is not so keen to ask for, because I think they have to have an orgasm sooner than later. And it's like, hey, will you please be patient with me? Especially if for me, I know, especially if you have a new lover, there's a whole lot of stuff that goes on with a new lover versus someone that you've been with for quite a while as well. And it's like, will you be patient and just like relax and like allow me to relax and receive? But I know in a woman's head so often is going, and the old story of how many women pretend to have an orgasm. Why? Because they think that they should have had an orgasm earlier than what they are. And it's like, what if that whole mentality and that whole conversation could be had and changed?
Yeah.
I love that.
I mean, I'll always ask. I'm like, I'll say, you know, like, how's this? How's this going for you?
Yeah, we always talk. Super cool.
Yeah.
And sometimes we talk afterwards too, which is kind of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Some
because it's
feedback.
what works, what doesn't work. I try to get information before, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, what did you like about that guy, you were with? What did he do that was so awesome? Oh, I liked how he touched me this way. And actually having that conversation kind of turns me on too in general, but it also gives
We're
me
not
information.
polyamorous, everyone. That was like before past boyfriends.
Yeah, right, exactly. But I'll ask about past encounters and things like that. And,
yeah, that's super cool.
Yeah, because it gives me information.
Yeah.
And
No,
changes too. Our bodies change too over time as well. So it's also having that awareness. I mean, Julia's like entering her prime according to this reality, you know what I mean? And I'm like way beyond it. So it's like there's got to, I have to explore like what my reality is now and be able to effectively communicate that with her without her going to the wrongness of herself.
Are you actually really way beyond it, Anthony? Or are you just buying into the lies that you're beyond it?
Probably a combination of both. It's like, I used to, the wind would blow.
No, I know. Get a hard on by brushing against a table. I know. The difference of
or driving in the car and the car's bouncing and it's like stimulating the perineum and I'd be like, poof, and it's pulsating.
Do you call that a traveler? Do you call that a traveler? Or is that an Australian thing?
No. I don't know.
Be like, I'm getting a traveler. So a traveler is a hard-on whilst you're traveling. It's a traveler.
I like that. I like the traveler. Yeah, I used to have many travelers back in the day and not so much anymore. But, what would it take? What would it take to have the traveler?
Bring back the traveler.
Bring back the traveler. That's always a good sign.
I'll make some posters.
Bring back the traveler.
We can pick it up and down the street.
Oh my God.
On the steering wheel, just a little note, bring back the traveler. It's okay to have a traveler.
Well, and I also do put a lot of pressure on myself that's like an area that I've always wanted to, deliver. That's something that's always been very important to me. So I actually went to go get a physical exam and I'm like, okay, doc, I'm here. Check my testosterone, check my free testosterone. I don't know what's going on. I got a wife who's half my age and I got to be able to keep up, and he checked it, and I was aware. He's like, yep, you know what? You're below where you need to be. So we're going to get you some natural, and it's funny with all these new stuff that's been coming out with the hormonal clearings and all that and the sensitivity. And I'm like, oh my God, perfect timing. But so, I'm looking at it from all different ways, and
Cool.
So
hey, is there anything else that you guys would like to leave with the listeners, talk to the listeners about that you get would be inspiring for people to have something different or something greater, but choose for them, because there is no right or wrong with it.
Yeah, I have a great tool that Gary taught me, like even before I met Anthony, which is really cool because I've had it for a long time and I continue to ask it. Actually, I have two tools that I want to leave everybody with. One is old, one is new. But the first one is to ask the question, what sexual reality am I capable of creating that only I'm capable of creating that's never existed before on planet Earth?
I love that. And everything that is time to go setting in, right on good and bad, puck and puddle, 100 shorts, boys, perverts, creation spaces and beyonds.
Yeah, that has been a real guide for me. It's as I keep asking that, I've been asking that question for like maybe 12 or 13 years. And as I've kept asking it, it's guided me and pulled me into like, I have such an awesome reality with that. And I'm so grateful. And it's constantly changing and getting greater. But part of that is because that's been a kind of a keystone question for me for a long time.
And the second one?
The second one is new. It's how can I do my life so that I'm beyond this reality sexually?
And everything at that is time to go Danny and right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pod, all 100 shorts, boys, perverts, creation spaces and beyonds. That is the Access Consciousness Clearing Statement, which you can read up about, watch a video with myself and Dr. Dane on theclearingstatement.com if you have not heard it before. Anthony, is there anything that you want to leave the listeners with?
Yeah, well, for me, Harry would always say to me how, I was a romantic and but in being a romantic, I would give up a big part of my power and potency to make the relationship happen. And so, you know, he suggested that I read the Gentleman's Club book, which in there were these magical clearings. I mean, I used to go to therapy for my issues with my insanity with women. Yeah, there you go. And that book changed something for me on an energetic level that no psychotherapist was ever able to access. And I got to this point in space where whatever that was that needed to change, it was on an energetic level, and all I can say is it happened. So if you're someone, whether you're a man or a woman, straight, gay, doesn't really matter. If you're one of those people who give yourself up for relationship and you're sort of like blind to, well, you see the red flags, but you kind of ignoring them, thinking they're going to change, the Gentleman's Club book will change that for you. The clearings in there were just so dynamic, and it just opened my world up to see things, but to also make a choice and not function from those utopian ideals anymore. So that was a huge part of my growth in this area.
I love that. Thank you. Thank you so much for that and for all of that, because it's funny that you mentioned romance. And for me, I love romance, and I think romance is great. Yet when we choose romance in giving up ourselves, that's when it's more of a detriment than anything else. Right. So, and that's what I know the three of us are referring to in different ways is, what if you could have the value of you? I'm a big, one of my favorite tools is the 5 elements of intimacy, which is gratitude, trust, allowance, vulnerability, and honor. And to have those 5 elements of intimacy with yourself first, then you can have that with somebody else. Then you can play with others. So, you know, I think I've got previous podcasts on the 5 elements of intimacy. There's classes on it, etc. But I think for me, part of, you know, like your relative said, Julia, too, part of these cards is allowing that vulnerability to show up. And, you know, we've had a few different stories here, and we've had a few laughs, etc. And I'm going to say, if you're listening to this, and if you are choosing to judge us rather than actually receive it, what if you look at that and just go, what if it's not about judging what anybody else is choosing? What if it's about being in question of what actually would work for you? Okay. Because what if you could choose anything? Like, there's no right, there's no wrong, but we get to call it reality. We get to choose it. Like, this is our reality. What, you know, do you want to be like 100 in bed and going, I wish I'd chosen that. I wish I'd chosen the cards, you know. I wish I'd explore, you know. It's like, what would you like to explore in sex that you've not yet explored? What if you could ask for it? Like, it's not wrong. Anything. The only thing that makes a perverted point of view is your judgment.
Yeah.
So anyone listening to this, you can now order the cards online. Actually, that's taken us a long time to figure out how to do that with around the world. But you can go to intimateplaycards.com. The 2 places that we're sending cards from is from Australia and from the US. So you can order the cards online there. There's also a section that you can, if you want something different, you know, we're looking for people to wholesale them, etc. as well. We give you a really good rate for buying bulk. But they are in English. Let's see if I can do this. English. I've got the Italian ones here.
Awesome.
They're in Italian, Spanish, Portuguese, Russian, German, French. I think they're in Polish now as well. So,
jeez, Simone, you are fast with translation. All your books are always translated. The cards. Well, I think that's so inspiring.
Thank you, but I mean, obviously, it's not me. It's all the amazing translators that have been such a major player and a part of this as well. So, and this has literally been like funnily enough, Intimate Play for Lovers, it's been like a love game, because it's definitely hasn't been a money spinner. It's been a change spinner for now. What would it take to be a money spinner as a business? We've got other ideas that we would like to do once we get some, you know, I guess whatever, time, space, money, is we'd also like to create like conversations with friends. So you have a pack of cards. So if we're all sitting around having dinner together, it's not just like, hey, how was your weekend? What do you do? It's like, no, let's have some real conversations here. Let's have some. So I'm sure I'll be in touch with you guys to get some questions from you as well of what that would be like. Yeah. Like,
if you
I'd
need
like
pictures from a round of cards, we're happy to contribute the photographs.
Send me pictures anytime you want, Anthony. Now my phone. Hey, thank you for being vulnerable. That you guys are going visuals now. I can sense it. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being vulnerable. Thank you for your time, and thank you for everything. And thank you for playing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's so much fun. I just love them. They have just showed me so much and just given us a whole different, different avenue, like a different set of possibilities, a different way of doing it. So it's so fun.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay.
It inspires me to keep going. Thank you for receiving.
Thank you so much. All right.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.